with many companies like Logitech, Razer, and Glorious coming out with updated or pro models weighing in less than 65 grams, making heavier mice over the 100-gram mark feel terribly overweight. So how can you compete with newer lightweight mice and gain some extra features? There are some changes that you can actually make to allow your heavier mouse to feel much more responsive. One of them is to increase your sensitivity and decrease lag. To do this, open up Windows Search by hitting the Windows key and typing in Mouse Settings. Select Mouse Settings and go into Additional Mouse Options, found in the top right hand corner of the popped out window, and switch to the Pointer Options tab. You may have heard that you should uncheck pointer position at this point. However, most modern games actually use raw mouse inputs, instead of using the mouse inputs as read by Windows, making this not a problem. But you can have this unchecked if you'd like, and you can test it out in Windows. What you can do is decrease the pointer speed to 4, and this is because any lower than 4 will cause some stuttering and really reduce how responsive your mouse is in Windows. And any higher than 6 tends to cause skipping and jumping. Now, I know this seems counterintuitive, as I said to increase sensitivity earlier. However, decreasing the sensitivity in Windows will allow you to keep the general feel of how your mouse moves in Windows, especially when you start to increase your raw mouse sensitivity, which I'll get into now. Depending on what mouse you have, you download the software that allows you to adjust your raw mouse settings. Logitech G Hub, Razer Synapse, or Glorious Core to name a few. The setting to adjust your sensitivity should be somewhere in the performance section under DPI. What is DPI? It stands for dots per inch, referring to how many dots or units your cursor moves per inch of mouse movement. Most gaming apps have a DPI button that you can use to change your DPI. In general, the higher your DPI, the less latency your mouse actually has. So what you can do to increase the mouse responsiveness is to increase your mouse DPI, while reducing your pointer speed. With the decreased sensitivity in Windows, this actually allows you to be able to increase the DPI higher while keeping the mouse movement comfortable to use in Windows. It is easiest to start off with the DPI of 3200, which is where most mice have their highest DPI set to if you're just using the mouse button. If you are using software, I would suggest to change it in increments of a couple hundred and as low as 50 for fine tuning. To find the most natural feeling speed for you, take it slowly, decreasing your DPI if you go past your intended target when moving quickly, or increasing your DPI if you do fall short. You can use aim training software such as AimLabs or Kovacs Aim Trainer, but remember to take some time to get used to this change. This normally takes a couple of days to adapt into properly. Once you've found what DPI you prefer, you can actually use this to improve the productivity by changing the function of your DPI button. You can do this with the software you downloaded previously, where you can change the function of the DPI button to something more useful, especially since you won't tend to change this option once you've settled into a comfortable sensitivity. You can change the DPI button to something more like a play pause button if you listen to music while at your desk and have to listen to someone speaking, or pause your video if the door rings. You can even create a macro to mute your computer and then hide all your windows to show only your desktop. It's a combination of Media Mute and Windows D to show the desktop. That aside, you can actually use the layer function that most prominent brands like Logitech and Razer have in their software, allowing for almost double the amount of buttons. But what will you do with that? If you don't have a particular work function, you can turn them into playback functions. I have mine set to be able to play, pause, skip track, and return to previous track on any media playing on my PC. For work functions, on the other hand, you can actually use macros to use keyboard shortcuts for work applications. You can also just have it replace a key where you would have to leave the mouse to press. In editing, for example, a hard-to-reach key can be the blade tool with the letter B, or the ripple delete shortcut with Control Shift and left or right bracket. Preferably, you would create a mouse macro for either complex or hard to reach shortcuts, which are mostly on the right hand side. If you happen to have a mouse that has a profile button, you can even customize your mouse specifically for gaming or for work, as potentially this will also be your gaming setup. While I would not recommend that you have extra layers, you can set the extra mouse buttons to key presses that may create some downtime or lifting your finger off the trigger. You can use the mouse bindings to even split the push to talk buttons, separating Discord and the game that you're playing, allowing you to specifically speak to your team or your friends in Discord. Other options can be useful, such as hitting the F1 key to thank teammates in Apex, because that's just nice, or allowing you to use an ability in Valorant without twisting your fingers to make proper movement for something like Jet, and even transitioning to a different scene when streaming. While all this will take some time for you to set up, it will allow you to be more responsive in games as you make less or smaller movements to move your mouse, and when working, negate having to hunt for a specific key on the keyboard. A dedicated push to talk button may actually also come in handy if you are in a meeting but are unable to move to a quiet environment. Extremely lightweight mice are meant to cater to gamers that require extra speed and accuracy, to potentially win competitions, while heavier mice tend to have more buttons and allow for a larger degree of flexibility. If you are looking for other ways that you can increase your mouse performance for both gaming and working, check out this video, and if you have any suggestions on what functions you would add to the extra mouse buttons on your mouse, let me know in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the like button, subscribe for more work and gaming setup tips, and have a nice one.